Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fadila Hilal. I'm from Big C class, English Education Study Program EIN Palopo. Okay, today I'm going to tell about Sing Posting Language for Presentation. Sing Posting Language for Presentation have 11 sections. Okay, the first section is Introduction to topic. For example, the aim of this presentation is blah blah blah. My presentation today is about blah blah blah. Or today I would like to talk about blah blah blah. And the second section is listing the point. For example, my talk will be into 3-4 parts. First blah blah blah, after that blah blah blah, then blah blah blah, finally blah blah blah, firstly blah blah blah, secondly blah 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 blah, thirdly blah blah blah, finally blah blah blah. I will begin by looking at blah blah blah, then I will move on to blah blah blah. Towards the end, I blah blah blah. And the third section is changing the topic. For example, now I would like to turn to blah blah blah, or now let's look at blah blah blah. And the fourth section is focusing your audience attention. For example, what is interesting or important is blah blah blah, or notice or observe that. And uh, the fifth section is referring backwards or forwards. For example, I mentioned earlier blah blah blah, or well, come back to this point later, blah blah blah. John discussed this in his part on earlier. And the sixth section referring to visual. For example, looking at the chart, you can see blah blah blah, or as you can see from the graph blah blah blah, the graph or chart shows. And the seventh section, checking understanding. For example, is that clear, or are there any questions? And the eighth section is speaker's attitude. For example, I believe or think that blah blah blah. It seems to me that blah blah blah. The point I'm trying to make here is it's important or interesting to notice. And ninth section is referring to common knowledge. For example, as you know blah blah blah, or as I'm sure you are aware blah blah blah, or it's commonly known that blah blah blah. And the 10th section, dealing with question. For example, that's a good point, blah blah blah, or can we get back to it later? I'm afraid I'm not the right person to answer this question. And the last section, number 11, is ending the presentation. For example, so to sum up blah blah blah, in conclusion, we can say that if you have any question, I will be pleased to answer them. I think enough. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.